Okay kids, it's DK at Mr. V Amps, and we got a Fender Blues Junior here, and it doesn't work, and I'm advised to not turn it on because reasons. So anyway, it's opened up, and we take a look in the back, and we got smoke damage. Alright, yeah, you can see all the black schmoo. Let's bring you in here so you can see that. You want to get in and see this carnage, I'm sure you do. So yeah, you can see the big smoky kerfuffle there. And initially I looked, and it's like I figured those resistors or all that stuff up there was burnt. It had to be. And then upon closer inspection, I looked, and that was just a result of the smoke rising. And the smoke is rising from down here. There's a big old burn mark right down here on this board. And there's a big old fat resistor under there. It's probably the screen resistor. And screen resistors go up in smoke when tubes short. So I think that's what we're up against. Let's find out. Okay, so just by using some compressed air to blow out the smoky area, that is just carbon that wafted its way up from down there. Our burn mark is down there. It's on this tube socket, and it looks like it's the screen resistor. And usually it's the tube going bad that'll cause that to smolder up. I'm just hoping the board ain't cooked too dang bad. I already checked the tubes, and they did not have an epic fail. Usually I was expecting them to be like epic failure. They're weak and tired, but they didn't test as epic fail. But sometimes with these tube shorts, they've got to come up to temperature and run for a while, and then kablamo. Okay, so my brain was thinking hot rod deluxes when I was thinking about resistors under here. There ain't no resistors under here, but that tray certainly went red hot and smoked a big fat mess there. Ugh. Okay, so we got burnage on this board. Now, what does one do about that burnage on the board? There's a couple things one could do, I suppose. We could do a little bit of manual soldering and make it, not, put like regular tube sockets in instead of this PCB stuff. It might be what it takes. I don't know. Let's clean it up and see what the damage is. Okay, so I'm running on the theory that this amp got tubes that started to go bad, and then they got kind of hot, and then they were drawing too much current, and these traces were crap because these solder joints crack because they're crap, because PC boards are crap. And then once the trace started to fail, it just got hot like a bad resistor, and then it went up into smoke and made the board really hot. So there were two completely and totally wrecked traces here, and then there was a completely wrecked trace over there. I'm not going to risk sticking them same power tubes back in this. No way. But I figure we'll plug it in on the Variac and check that it didn't short it out, because I think this might be all it needs to revive. Maybe. Okay kids, so I did bring it up on a Variac, and I didn't get any smoke, and I probed through our pins here. Sorry. I probed through our pins here. It is on, so I don't want to be sticking fingies in it. But I probed through our pins here, and we have B plus voltage, and we have bias voltage, and screen voltage. So as far as I can tell, it should be safe to plug some tubes in and then see if it's going to explode or not. I'll put a couple more screws in it, and we'll try it. Okay, so I've been bringing it up on the Variac, and we're about at 100 volts out of our 120, and Nothing interesting has happened other than the amp actually working. So that's kind of cool. I don't think any other functions actually here were Klinko-torculated or whatever. Honestly, I think what happened is as the previous tubes got tired with age, because EL84 or 6BQ5s, they're a hot tube. Heat rises, got in there, hoopa-jooped the solder joints, they cracked, it caused high resistance. High resistance equals more heat as it tries to jump the gap or get through a high resistance load there, and then the traces got burned up. They turned into little heat rods, and then the heat rods started making the board smoke, and then smoke got all over the board. So we've cleaned up most of the smoke in there. I'm probably gonna tidy up a little bit more. It's not going to be perfect, but I don't want this to cost Buddy a king's ransom to get this amp back. He assumed this amplifier could not be resurrected and went to the store and purchased a replacement, of which I will not disclose what he purchased because it wasn't a Mr. V amp. Come on, man. They make awesome amps here. And, I mean, I suffer for my work. Do you see that? That was me putting a drill through my hand. And so now I get to wear a purple bandage to celebrate Barney the Dinosaur Pride Month. I love you. You love me. Does not sound very good. It's working, but I don't like that sound. It's a weird sound. Really woolly on the front end, and then it goes away. Okay, so obviously we had some tube pins that weren't making squat connection on account of the traces being burnt off, but a couple of the other traces in there were a bit goofed. So I reflowed all the crap around the power tubes very thoroughly. Okay, so that's cool. Okay, so I monkeyed with this some more. In playing like a big chord or a big note, when something was supposed to be loud, it was making the flub. It was just flubbing out. It was losing juice. And that's usually your filter capacitors there. So those have been replaced. To save time, energy, and money, I snipped them off the board and tied them to the existing leads. So they're not as pretty, but yeah. And then I was getting constant crackle, crickle, crackle, crickle, crackle, crickle, crackle. So I ended up, going through the whole board. I chopsticked the board. I wasn't getting anywhere. And I started eventually playing musical preamp tubes until I finally found a set of them that play very nicely together. Now, these amplifiers, particularly the first valve, is extremely sensitive to noise. This particular model amp drives all the tubes hard. It just drives them hard. It's going to beat them up. But I can play a big chord and it doesn't make flub noises now. And outside of the normal, whooshy sounds or whatever that it makes as an amplifier, it's being quiet. So if it can be quiet now and not sit there and fry bacon and go tick, 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 tick when I'm sitting here idle. I'm idle and I've got my master volume turned up, and it's not going whoosh, crackle, crackle, crackle. Maybe with the exception of picking up a tiny bit of the camera noise, but this is nothing compared to what we were doing. We were frying bacon before, and so I sorted that with the preamp tubes. I think I'm finally out of the woods with this dumb thing. I'd like to put the back on it and call it good. But I definitely need to play y'all out and make sure that, it actually sounds like a Blues Junior instead of a broken Blues Junior. Okay, after all this, I think I got it. So